Number 1. There is a delay until April 2025. Now, I consider this a massive I'm right there. I used to pray for times like this. Good pacing for Egghead Climax, let's go. This is a universal W. This is the best thing that could have happened, and I will keep preaching this until the end of days. This is coming from someone who caught up with One Piece through the anime. My only experience with One Piece was initially the anime, and I saw just how much it slowed down and how much even binging it became like a progressively less thrilling experience. It was still the best, but it was less thrilling. And ever since I got caught up, the only thing I've been saying is imagine if One Piece was seasonal. This seems like a good compromise. I think apparently the staff were saying that basically it's just becoming unsustainable because the Egghead animation quality has been through the roof. And I think a large part of that is, well, not a large part of that. A large part of this delay is just because production has become unsustainable. If only someone made a video about that. If only there was a content creator by the name of Koroto's Mystery Shack who did a video titled "Anime is becoming the next gaming industry," and the entire premise of the video is how animation is becoming too good and becoming unsustainable, just like video games. If only a video like that existed. And the funny thing is, I was even wrong in that video because I said One Piece can keep doing this because they have infinite money. I guess we found the limit test for One Piece. I'm not sure like how much of this is just because they want to like have more time, and how much of this is because they want to actually change the structure of it. I wish this is a slow and gradual move to seasonal model for the rest of One Piece, but I somehow doubt it. Dressrosa caused me to switch to the manga. There wasn't like any point because I said it when I started watching, I will watch it until the end, because that was the whole premise of the series, right? I wasn't bothered about the pacing unless it literally got like unwatchable. I don't think it was ever unwatchable. It got pretty bad at times, but it wasn't unwatchable, like it wasn't. Compared to any other anime, like any other modern anime, One Piece you could say is unwatchable though. Like compared to modern stuff coming out now. Some of the anime episodes, they're dreadful. And this is coming from a One Piece enjoyer. Some of them where they like do the same shot and they're like 15 panning shots. It's the worst kind of filler because it makes the good parts seem annoying almost in comparison, right? Because you've spent all this time waiting for the good bits, and then the good bit happens and you cut away and you get another dragged out sequence, and suddenly that incredible piece of animation, you're annoyed that they cut away, right? So it undermines even the good parts. And that is the bad part about doing canon filler. That's why I said they need to do either filler arcs or just delay it. If they did a 100% filler arc, it wouldn't be a problem. Because, again, like, you could just do whatever you wanted, and then the main series could just get ahead. Anyway, this is like a small bit of news. I think this is a great, great, great change. This is massive W's. Let's go. Number 2. And this is where I almost died. I was not expecting this, and I do have a sneaking suspicion that people are saying this has nothing to do with the Wit remake. Are we sure about that? Are we sure about that? Because they are reanimating Fishman Island, right? And this is also Return to Sabaody. The stuff they showed is Return to Sabaody. Oh, I have so many tabs open. Return to Sabaody, right? If you don't know, my favorite arcs in all of One Piece is Sabaody and Return to Sabaody. Those are my 2 favorite arcs of all time. When I saw this was not on my bingo, but I won. I won. Oh my god. I kind of have a hard time even visualizing what it's going to look like in just like 21 episodes. 21 episodes. It's like a third of that. So, I don't know. But the reason why I think this seems very sus to me is because this is post-time skip. Like the most neat cutoff point in all of One Piece. Right? So if you were to, hypothetically, reanimate One Piece, and you had, hypothetically, Wit Studio starting from scratch, it's going to take them like a decade to get to Marineford, right? And then what if, hypothetically, post time skip was also already freshly reanimated. I have a sneaking suspicion that this is not just going to be Fishman Island. I think this is the start of something. Because they're doing new soundtracks, new sound effects and everything, and these are not like small updates. Like, these are actually fully reanimated sequences. They're redoing the whole thing in the Wano art style, basically. Return to Sabaody reanimated. Oh my god. I do somehow fear that they're going to make Return to Sabaody incredibly short, though. Because it would be like, look at that. They did post, you can see the full, oh, there are more comparisons here. So this is Return to Sabaody again. I'm not sure how I feel about the colorization filters. I do think visibility is a big problem in One Piece. Not visibility, like legibility. I think the legibility of One Piece has gone down. I think so. I think with scenes like Roger versus Whitebeard, there, it was almost a good stylistic choice that you couldn't understand anything. There, I think legibility had to go out of the window, because that's the point. Whereas in sequences like this, the colorization filters do kind of seem a bit like too much. Yeah, this is obviously probably not like because Luffy just lifts his head and he does his pose. It's probably not like frame for frame. I'm gonna be so happy. This re-edited Fishman Island is unnecessary, if you ask me. And that's what I mean. I think the goal right now is to make sure Wit gets to Marineford, and this is picking up the like the stick in the race, you know. I think there is currently no plans of Wit getting to Fishman Island. That is my current conspiracy theory. I think this is a calculated move to make sure that you are working on multiple things at the same time. And I think they are picking up with Fishman Island because they know that is where the pacing issues really start. I think this is incredibly strategic and incredibly smart because they will start reanimating the outdated animation to look good. Right? So that is like a one-prong attack. And then their next prong attack will be to make sure that the people who are sort of already watching One Piece, they can move into post-time skip, which is already known to be very, very bad in terms of pacing. I think this is incredibly strategic, and I think the point is not wasting resources, is to make sure that they don't need to waste resources while waiting for Witch. I think that's why. I think right now what One Piece is doing is they're maximizing funnels. Right? It's what I said with live action, it's what I said with the remake, it's what I said with all these different things. I think right now they're doing everything in their power to make sure that you're watching One Piece everywhere. I think they want you to consume everything to do with One Piece in every single avenue. And this is another thing. Because people do drop off around time skip. Because the pacing does get pretty bad. It does. It does. And going like from 60 episodes to 21... like, that's a big change. That's a big change. This is a GIF. I cannot wait until they get to Sabaody. I want to see Sabaody and Wit's remake. That's what I want. Return is only 5 chapters. That's a single I guess it's My Hero Academia. I don't know, I thought Return to Sabaody, actually in terms of pacing, was really good, because I thought that it needed to be like a victory lap, right? And I actually thought that some of the longer sequences in Return to Sabaody were actually really good. What about the people who want to start watching One Piece with Witch, and you're already giving a fast-paced post-time skip? It looks like a mess to me. Well, I think it's basically market segmentation, right? So right now there exists people who have seen the One Piece anime up to a certain point, and reanimating it from post-time skip will probably make them rewatch it again, right? People with Wit will start watching out of nothing, right? That's probably going to be their first experience watching One Piece, as well as people who have already seen the anime. And for Wit to get to Marineford, that's going to be like at least 10 years. So even if in 10 years they want to remake it again, I would wager it would still be a financial benefit to them to just basically remake it again. But I don't think they will. I think this is them remastering post-time skip while Wit is remastering pre-time skip. And I think in the end, the ultimate form of One Piece will be the merge of these two things. That's my theory anyway. Return to Sabaody is fantastic. It's Punk Hazard, Dressrosa, and Whole Cake Island I have the most problems with. Yes, same. I think Return to Sabaody, I mean, there's a reason why it's like my favorite or my second favorite arc. I love everything to do with Sabaody. I think it's... I said it in my big Sabaody video. I think there are very, very few stories out there, like, and I mean in all of fiction, who could ever pull off a story like Return to Sabaody. I genuinely mean this, like, wholeheartedly. There are not a lot of stories who could ever pull off the emotional, like, catharsis that is Return to Sabaody. You can watch this. I can't play it because I'll get blasted. But they put out a new remake. Once again, shout out to Archer. Go watch it. But what I was saying with, I think the biggest problems with also, like, Fishman Island is actually the structure of the arc. I think a lot of the fact, like, a lot of the reasons why people don't like Fishman Island is just because you don't see the Straw Hats. That was my biggest problem as well. Because you see them reunite in Return to Sabaody and you get to Fishman Island and you don't see them again. And that just felt like really, really bad. And then Punk Hazard was kind of like also a bit like messy and all over the place. And the setting of Punk Hazard was also kind of mediocre. It was just like snow and a gray laboratory. It was kind of boring. I do think like a few of the issues with like immediately post timeskip are structural and actually to do with the story. And you sort of need to juggle it around to make it flow better for like a person actually watching the series for the first time. Because now that I look back at Fishman Island, I think it's excellent. I thought Fishman Island was great. When I was first watching it, though, it just ruins the flow, basically. They're changing the time slot, I assume, for the better. I don't know about the time slots, I've got no idea. So many reactors I've watched over the years get to Whole Cake Island and lose the interest. It's a very rough arc to do rewatches of. Whole Cake Island, the ending of Whole Cake Island is probably one of my worst experiences in all of One Piece. The chase is so bad. It is so boring. It is so bad. Luffy in the Mirror Realm, like, I understand why that happened, but the fact that he is also completely detached from the plot, it feels so weird. I think you need to speed it up massively for it to, like, feel better. Otherwise, it felt like massively disjointed events, and one of the events is massively dragged out. I think Whole Cake was, like, one of the only arcs where I thought the start was, because usually with One Piece arcs, I feel like, is the reverse. I usually really like the start, sometimes the middle feels a bit off, and the ending is always really, really strong, right? Whereas with Whole Cake, they landed on, like, the Crackers' home turf. That was kind of like take it or leave it. The middle is incredible. The middle of Whole Cake Island is S+ tier. It is some of the best stuff Oda has ever written. And the ending to Whole Cake was also kind of eh. Whereas with something like Wano, it's kind of like the reverse, right? Where the middle of Wano is a bit messy and all over the place. Line art of this feels a bit weird. I assume... I mean, a lot of this you have to remember that we are watching like a compressed version of it, right? So, I assume that it's going to look like much, much closer to Wano. Because in the very, very early parts of Wano, there was a lot of bloom. Let me see if I can bring up... Hold on, because I have all these screenshots on my computer. Let me see if I can bring up a perfect picture as an example. So if you look at this... This is how early... This was like one of the first ever things we saw in Wano, right? And I think they're going with this style. Like, judging by all of this, it's basically... The line art looks exactly the same as that. Like, maybe this is a close-up on an eye, so that's not really that clear. Like right here. There we go. I think this is just the classic Wano style, basically. I love this. Do you think when we get to Egghead, the pacing will be the same speed as the remasters? I mean, Egghead has already... Egghead, I feel like, has had some of the best pacing and some of the worst pacing in One Piece. Because, like, some of the introduction episodes to Egghead were, like, really bad. There was, like, the pacifista scanning them. And that was, like, 1.5 minutes of just filler, right? But at the same time, like, some of the episodes have been really snappy. And, I mean, also the animation, I think, makes up for it. And they're just a treat to watch. So it's kind of like, I think Egghead would still need to be cut down. And this is what I always said about, like, Toei themselves doing these remasters. They have all these source files, right? Like, they could well, not instantly, that's a dumb thing to say, but they could make, like, One Piece, but better, right? Because they have all the source files. They don't have to, like, blend music. They can do whatever they want. They can cut it down however they see fit, put in music however they see fit, because they already have all of that on a much more granular level, I guess. So I think remastering Egghead, you wouldn't need to like remake it. You would just have to re-edit it, which is like a lot less resource intensive. Because this is being remade. Like this is not a re-edit. This is a remake. Whereas with Egghead, this like the animation quality is so good. You don't need to remaster it or remake it in any capacity. You just need to like cut it up better. Could have more frequent anime breaks between arcs for faster pacing. Yes, what I would have done if I were them is I would have just kept making filler arcs, but I suspect what happens is that viewers drop off massively. I would suspect that most people will watch filler. Okay, how do we distinguish this? Most people will watch bad pacing, but most people won't watch filler. I think that is why they do it. Because they used to do like 100% filler arcs. Right? Like, they just don't anymore. Why is that the case? I think the case is that it was, like, expensive enough to do for it not to be worth it, basically. Because making filler arcs, like, from nothing, you would still need to, like, create it. You would need to, and by create it, I mean, like, write it, animate it, yada, yada, yada. And I think it would sort of, like, break the flow of the main story, and then people would be mad, and then you need to get them back for the canon parts. I think they're not going to do filler arcs, basically. New OST and sound effects will carry on over to Egghead. I mean, I would assume so. If they're making, like, new assets for it, I don't see why they wouldn't. I don't see why not. It's the same thing, like, when they reanimate the flashbacks, they're obviously always going to be using the reanimated flashbacks. G8 is fantastic filler, but it's very much an outlier. Yeah, I think G8 worked really, really well because it came at a point where it was naturally believable. You know, whereas a lot of the other filler arcs, they're just kind of like, they come out of the blue, and they're completely disjointed and mean nothing. Whereas G8 was by design, you accidentally landed in this area. What is the goal? To get out of this area, right? Whereas if you sail into the land of a powerful pirate out of the blue, and they can't do like any kind of character development with this powerful pirate, it kind of ruins the flow because you can't actually do anything in the arc. It'd be weird to switch from the remastered sounds to Dragon Ball sounds for Egghead. Yeah, I think, like, if they're making new assets for it, I suspect, by the way, I suspect if you go back and pay extra close attention, I wouldn't be at all surprised if you've already seen, like, some of the assets they've been developing bleed in over to the anime already. It's hard to say, like, what it would be, but I would assume, like, some of the sound effects in the more recent episodes are probably a part of the remake, and you obviously just didn't realize it because it's just like, oh, a new sound effect. Why is it there? Because they're remaking all of them, probably. Yeah, this is again about the music and the sound effects. Oh yeah, and this is coming out next week. This is 30 minutes long, rather. Not 20. This is coming out next week. Oh yeah, and this. I think this is very, very, very good news, basically. Like, for me, this is, like, some of the best One Piece anime news that could have happened. The fact that they're delaying the main stuff, and the fact that they're remaking my favorite arc, you know what? I consider this as a W. I won today. I won today. Imagine if I were to put Return to Sabaody Reanimated on my 2024 bingo. Everyone would have laughed me out of the room. But here we are. I keep on winning. Why is Return to Sabaody your favorite? I mean, if you want to hear my actual thoughts on it very, very in-depth, I have a very long video on that. I have my first time watching thing, but right, I think this video covers, like, most of my thoughts. This one right here. I think the biggest thing with Sabaody is the fact that, like, it's number one, it is incredible catharsis. Number two, I am incredibly biased towards, like, reunion stories, right? And those two things together already sort of cover the biggest arguments. I don't think there are many stories out there who could ever capture the sort of ups and downs of the entire Summit War saga and then Return to Sabaody. At least I haven't experienced anything like that. Not once have I seen a story go from, like, the peak to the absolute rock bottom to the point where it, like, breaks every convention of the series, because One Piece wasn't this kind of story. Like, Sabaody broke One Piece. Fundamentally. Completely. Shattered it. And then it breaks it again with the time skip. And then you come back with the time skip. And it's just like the greatest, most wholesome reunion ever. But this is the closest arc that has ever gotten to me actually shedding a tear. Now, I still didn't because I'm a monster, but this is the closest arc where it has ever happened. Return to Sabaody. Not Marineford, not Ennie's Lobby, not Water 7, not Arlong Park. It was Return to Sabaody. The single closest thing. I'm very proud of this video. I think this was a good video. Am I the only one who doesn't care about animation? Pacing is important. I mean, I agree with you. I would much rather take good pacing over, like, the ridiculous animation. And again, if only there was a content creator who made a video about that. If only someone made a video talking about One Piece and the number of impact frames they're doing. If someone only did that. So, yes, I do agree with you, but I think for the average person, the animation is incredibly important. Why do I say that? Because of Demon Slayer. I think Demon Slayer is the thing that showed the industry that you need to have incredible animation to sell anything, basically. What's the name of the video? The name of the video is Anime is Becoming the Next Gaming Industry and You Won't Like It. It's from 2 months ago. What the hell is that? Okay. One Piece is only a small part of this video. I more so talked about like Mappa and Demon Slayer, but One Piece isn't here. Mostly due to this, right? This kind of stuff, this is not normal. You don't need this. This is not normal. You don't need this. Imagine having to go to half playback to even see it. Demon Slayer made it possible because they didn't pay tax. Demon Slayer just did compositing. That's it. The biggest thing about Demon Slayer is they just have incredible compositing, and that's it. Well, it's obviously not it, but their production flow is completely different from most of anime. At least it was. Sabaody Straw Hats is back to 0 moment, so it's good. Yes. My Hero Academia broke the impact frame record in a single scene with over 50. I did not. I need to look at that. And like, people roasted me for this, by the way, because I said, like, right here, I don't remember where I said this, but I literally, I was talking about how there will be people who will push 60 FPS animation, and everyone told me, what's the point? Like, no one's gonna be pushing 60 FPS. Don't you remember, like, The Hobbit went to cinemas, which, by the way, proves my point. The fact that The Hobbit advertised being 48 FPS proves my point. It literally proves my point. But people told me, like, there is no way animation will go to 60 FPS. It's a waste of time. And they're missing the fact that I'm saying they will do it just for the sake of saying they did it. That's the only reason why. No person is going to look at animation at 60 FPS and be like, no, this is the new standard. Like, we all need 60 FPS animation. No one's going to say that. The first person who does it, though, we just did 60 FPS anime. Come watch our episode. That's the only point of this. So, yes. I think, like, My Hero Academia doing 50, I guarantee someone's gonna do 60. I guarantee it. Scroll down, I need to check something. You need to check the channel name? I'm sure you need to check something.